you a backgrounder or just something to set the tone for us on the concept of the young people ahead of the 2023 election. I'd like you to watch this.
Recently, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, said the youth constitute the highest number of registered voters who will cast votes in the 2023 general elections. According to data sourced from INEC after the final cleanup that includes the removal of the double registration and underage voters from the continuous voters register, the total number of registered voters stands at 93,469,008 as against the earlier figure put at about 96.3 million. However, the main concern here is, what has voter turnout trend in the past 5 election cycles been like? It is reliably gathered that there has been a continuous decline in voter turnout from the year 2003 to 2019, thereby decimating the percentage rate from 69.08% to 34.06%. What then could be wrong? With the available statistics and with the figures projected, it shows that there is 11.46% decrease in the number of youth between the age of 18 to 35 that registered to vote in the 2023 elections compared to 2019. As Nigerians prepare to go to the polls and exercise their electoral franchise, the lingering question remains whether there are concerted efforts to witness an increase in the number of youth voters and whether they will indeed make their votes count this time.
All right, then. Thank you so much. So you heard it, and there you have it. Something to give you an idea of just how important the youth are in this election. Well, then, you have an idea, a background information, the figures that tells you the youth are so much in the larger percentage, and perhaps they've not done very well in terms of coming out in the past election. But, well, this is not going to be about me talking all through this conversation. It's about the young people talking. It's going to be very interactive. Let me introduce to you my guest on the podcast tonight. I have one of Nigeria's undoubtedly foremost respected, some people will call him a living legend in the Nigerian music sector. He's in the forefront of campaigning for a non-violent election and free and fair election. Joining me on the podcast, I wish I could ring a bell for him. It's our own Two-Face Idibia. It's good to see you, Mr. Innocent Idibia. All right, Two-Face is online with us, and we shall also be joined by the executive director of Yiaga Africa, a lawyer and rights activist, Mr. Samson Itodo, who joins us right in the podcast studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Itodo, for joining us.
Hi,
Samson.
always a delight.
Interesting. So let's get the conversation started. Something. What an evening that we have just about 40 days to the 2023 elections. And let me ask you, the big question we ask here is that, are youth important for the 2023 election?
Well, are youth important? I think it's a no-brainer. Youth are important to the 2023 elections, and they are important everywhere. The big question is, are young people making themselves important? Because democracy is about numbers. It's about who has the highest number of people behind them. Democracy is about who has the loudest of the voices, even though you have, people who are still in minority, but they still have sort of their say. But quite frankly, I think the answer is yes, they're important. But the big question is, will young people make themselves important? Because if they remain nothing but figures, like you've reeled out, the highest number of people in the voters register, honestly, it will remain nothing but figures if they don't use the numbers. So I think the burden is actually, the question we should ask is, will young people make themselves important? And we can talk about, you know, how young people can make themselves important in this election.
There are several issues that we'll be trying to dissect with our viewers and listeners, wherever they may be, on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube, wherever they may be listening and participating tonight. It's about how critical the election is also, because if the election is not important, why should the people participate? So one question is, the youth, with their number, are they large enough to swing the election? Another question is whether or not the election itself is critical. How critical is this election?
Well, Sharon, see, I think that every election is critical and it's important, because elections helps you, you know, as a people, recruit and fire, you know, people who are not performing. It gives you an opportunity to renew mandates of people. But to be honest, just look at our livelihood as a country. Today, young people are victims of poor governance and leadership. If you look at the unemployment rate, the last time it was about 33%. If you see how young people are struggling, in fact, don't forget, young people just came back from, most students just came back from strike, from
8 months of strike.
8 months of strike. In that 8 months, millions of other young people across the world have graduated from universities. In that same 8 months, people have moved from one level to another. But for 8 months, we kept millions of students, you know, at home doing nothing because of the failure of leadership. If you check access to justice within Nigeria today and ask every average Nigerian, right, whether they have confidence that if their rights is trampled upon, they will get justice either from our law enforcement agencies or they will get justice from the court. Justice in Nigeria today is for the high and mighty and those who can afford it. If you go to police stations, if you see the kinds of cases, in the last couple of weeks I have had the privilege of going to police stations, and if you hear the kind of harrowing experiences that Nigerians go through, but they cannot get justice because the majority of Nigerians who are very poor are not considered citizens, and so you have a political class that continues to exploit them. Do you want to talk about insecurity? Just look around you. No, you don't need a soothsayer. You don't need anybody.
So the issues are right in our faces.
No, not just in our faces. They are there in our bodies. It's faces? No, not just faces, but also check our bodies. Just look at how people are going through, you know, hardship because of the failure of leadership. Our problem starts and ends with leadership. And just honestly, we should commend Nigerians every time they respond to any national call. And look at this PVC collection and the voter registration. You see how people are showing up, young people are showing up, they are speaking on social media platforms, they are raising difficult questions. It should give us hope, because if what we're experiencing in Nigeria, other people across the world are experiencing that same kind of hardship, some countries have blown up in flames, or people have just disengaged completely from the state. But in our own case, we see people, particularly young people, who, despite this difficulty and hardship, are saying we still believe that Nigeria can work. And for me, if every time I go back, you know, to sleep and I wake up in the morning, the thing that inspires me in this country today, Sheon, is those young people, whether they are on social media, whether they are out there, you know, just asking those questions. You see this PVC collection that we've been working on for months? I tell you, today I was in one of the centers, and one particular guy, a young person, had gone to several centers looking for his PVC, and he was still resilient that he must collect his PVC. In fact, I saw a tweet, someone tagged me on a tweet and said he's been since 2022, since he's registered, INEC has not produced his PVCs, and he's willing to institute a court action to get INEC to compel.
He wants to go that far.
When you see these actions, they only do nothing but inspire you that people have not lost faith in Nigeria.
Something. Let's bring on the other guest we have. And don't forget that, well, this platform is for you to speak your mind, for the independent minds, for the average Nigerian, for the young Nigerians. Tubaba is with us. Thank you so much, Two-Face, for joining us tonight. Hello, Two-Face.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. One love, bro.
Yeah, so.
Good to see you. Great. And also Frank Donga joins us, an actor and comedian. Frank Donga, thank you so much for joining us.
Frank Donga.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Tubaba, I greet you. I greet you all in the studio. Thank you, Shion.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's good to have you. Tubaba, you see the question we asked earlier. Are youth really important? Yeah. So the question about this conversation is, are youth really important in this election?
Well, I don't know. I did not hear the question.
You know, I mean, can you hear me now? I was asked. I mean, I was just basically putting the issue to you. Can you hear me now?
You're breaking up.
Okay, but can you hear me now? So basically, I was just throwing back the issue to you. How important are the youth in the 2023 election?
I mean, I think the youth, they're the most important part of the election. Like, you understand? Like, they're the most important parts of the election. You know, I'm happy the way many youths have started to engage in the political process. We're not there yet because most times we're very active on social media, but when it comes to the actual day, comes to the actual action, many people tend to still be on social media instead of to go out physically. And also, there's nothing that we can change if we do not get involved, you know, right from the party level, right from the grassroots, right from you know, the core. You know, that's where change can only be done. So for me, I'm happy, but we're not there yet. There has to be action, you know, to back all the banter, all the energy on social media. Has to translate to action when the time comes. You know,
I
don't know, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah, I know that you're one person who has said, I've heard you in one of your Vote Not Fight campaign when you said, look, they will, if they can use you, why not for violence? Why not they use their own children? You have always told young people that, look, don't be used for violence and all of that. But the question is, Tubaba, do the Nigerian youths know how important they are? Really, do they know? Do they know? I mean, it's one thing for them to be important. It's another thing for them to know whether they are important.
That is a question that is so tough. Like, according to social media, it sounds like they know. You know, like I said earlier, but when it comes to the actual, you know, that's where it gets always muddy and disappointing. You know, so I think they know, but some of them are still ignorant and naive. You know, very naive. And then mostly, I think many you do not believe. They do not believe that their votes. Many of them, they do not believe that it works. So, you know, but hey, let's try let's see if it can work. You know.
Let me bring in Fandonga. Frank, you produce contents that really reach out to young Nigerians. Frank, can you hear me? Yeah, you produce content that a lot of that makes a lot of us happy. But I was speaking with something earlier and was talking about the situation in Nigeria. But I know that Nigerians are very resilient. Going into this election, how much of realization, you interact a lot with young people, how much of realization do the youth have about the importance of the 2023 election?
Thank you very much, To be honest, I think quite a large number of youth are aware. They know how important they are. But like Kitubaba said, there's a whole gulf, there's a whole missing piece of knowing how important you are and actually taking advantage of your importance. And it's not enough to just know that you have the key to a door. If you never make a move to put the key in the keyhole and actually do efforts to turn that key, that door is going to remain shut. No matter how much you know. No matter how much you know that you're a doctor, if you don't take a step to actually diagnose and prescribe medication, the patient is going to die. So that's the problem we have. And there's a huge apathy between the led and the leaders. And that is the only thing that I think is holding back patriotism and citizen participation in elections, especially in elections. There's no point. I mean, we started off on a good note talking about are the youth really important? I mean, everybody has talked about how important the youth are. They are. I mean, look how important the youth are in music. Single-handedly, over the past 5 years, Nigerian youth have put the Nigerian country as a force in the music industry. Talk about the likes of the two Babas that laid a lot of foundation, to the likes of the young guys now making waves. Virtually 1 out of every 4 to 5 trending videos on TikTok has a soundtrack of a Nigerian musician. We are in that influential. Now, American artists are trying to collaborate with Nigerian artists. These artists are not, some of them are not even 5 years in the game yet. But now, Afrobeat, Afro hip hop, Afro fusion is now a thing. We are talking about Grammy nominations. We are talking about, very soon we start talking about Oscar nominations. We are talking about streaming records. Look, the youth are powerful. I think that's incontrovertible. We know that. However, when it comes to election and leadership, there's this big gulf, this big gap. People feel that, one, there's not much the country is doing for them. So there's that disconnection. Two, they do not see that they have enough power to change a system or an institution. Why is that? Very quickly, let me just round up on that. Why is that? The leading class or the ruling class have the armed forces control. One of the most potent ways of shutting down citizenship, of citizen participation, or citizens holding leadership to account is the armed forces. Talk about the police, paramilitary, and the army. People are scared of guns. Nobody wants to die. So that is an important factor. People are scared of their lives. And all of this is a sedimentation of abuse of power at the end of the day, if you look at it. From as simple as whooping people with koboko, horsewhip, in traffic because a certain big person wants to pass through a traffic that is not the fault of anybody on the road, but just poor planning, poor management, poor leadership skills, poor problem diagnosis, and poor solution profiling. Beautiful. Somebody in office wants to come to traffic and whoop everybody with horsewhip and get you out of the road. Why? Because there's some military person or police escort vehicle in front of them. I mean, if you remove all these paramilitary opportunities and escorts and armed forces from these people, I mean, people will speak up louder. Now, it's not uncommon to hear stories about journalists speaking about holding leadership accountable, and all of a sudden those journalists cannot be accounted for. I didn't say anything, I'm just saying what's in the news that you guys put out there. We see situations where you use the strength of the state to shut people down. So those are the kind of things. When people don't feel connected, they don't feel they're benefiting from a system, they get alienated out of it. An average American feels indebted to the system. Why? They get student loans. To go to university in America is going to cost you anything between $40,000 to $100,000 depending on the course you're studying, and depending on some other factors. You can get that loan upfront, go to school without sweat, and pay back when you start working and getting a job. In Nigeria, you literally pay for your way through school. Nobody cares about that. There's no structure in place for that kind of thing. So there's that disconnect. People don't feel that the state or leaders are doing anything directly that benefits them. So, and then over the years, we've had this track record of, from the First Republic to where we are now, from military rule to where we are now. People feel, no matter what we do, government is run like a cult, like the occult. You can't really know what is happening there. And if you try to ask questions, if you try to ask too many questions, you can be in serious trouble. Your business can be in trouble. Your safety can be in trouble. So all these things are what makes people feel disconnected.
Wow.
But the question, to summarize, do the youth know that they are powerful? Oh, they know they are powerful. It's just something that is covering that power, that is delaying them from activating that power.
All right. There are a few more. I would like to bring in people on Twitter Spaces. You can also call in and share your view. The telephone number which you can do that is there. You can send WhatsApp messages. We're going to read it. Comment on Facebook and all of that. We're going to take them tonight. So let's listen to these. We went out and we're trying to also gauge the minds and opinion of people on this election and how the place of young people in Nigeria. I'd like you to watch this and take a listen to this report.
No doubt, elections are one of the most effective ways of increasing participation in governance, representation, and uniting diverse groups, especially when the process is free and fair.
What are we expecting? What kind of leaders do you intend to vote for?
A leader who will elevate us from our poverty state.
People are dying because of hunger.
2019, I come out to vote. The whole Cairo local government and cancel our election. I don't know why. But this time around, I don't want it to happen again.
Considering the huge percentage of youth population in Nigeria, how much of those numbers count when deciding the fate of the nation?
I think for every young person watching this, you should realize that we are all victims of a failing system. And the only way to fix this system is by electing leaders who understand the issues and have solutions to these issues.
Nigeria's population is estimated at over 200 million. The youth account for 70% of that figure, which comes to about 150 million youths. INEC recently released data on voter registration showing that out of over 12 million new registrations, over 70% are youths. But do these youth figures count during elections?
Sometimes we want to believe that our vote don't really count. But this time, I want to believe that when I vote, my vote will count.
We cannot keep making references to democracies in other parts of the world when we cannot build our democracy at home. But democracy is a product of the dedication of a critical mass who are willing to make the system work.
The 2023 election is very critical for Nigeria's future. But will the youth be counted in how that future is shaped?
Our vote must count!
Earlier I was saying that, look, my guests tonight, they've more than said it, that look, the youth and the young people are very important and the elections are critical. Things are actually critical. So for any person in Nigeria who is seeing that too bad, and whatever you can do with your votes in 2023 lies in your permanent voter cards. So if you would like to join into the conversation, please feel free to do that, because we're live on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and of course you can call in, and the numbers are scrolling right there on your screen. But if you are on Twitter and you want to know the number in which you can call in from, you are also you can also signify for if you want to speak on Twitter Spaces. But let me come back to Samson quickly. Samson, where do we go from here? Because we've basically just established the fact that this election is important. The Nigerian youth are important. But we identified, Tubaba said something. Youth are trying. Tubaba, you're saying something?
No, you're saying important. So I say, even as the important.
Tubaba, now serious matter with this. No bring Nyash come this place.
So, I mean, where do we go from here? The fact that Tufe said people stay at home on social media on election day. What more can we do to encourage people to go out, especially young people, on election day?
Well, see, the points Tubaba and Frank made is quite important. But You know, I saw Frank's and Frank, thanks for that video. Now that you have become God that is flogging people, I hope please flog INEC to produce people's PVCs, because I think they need some form of flogging, because people are showing up at collection centers and they are not getting their PVC. So maybe 2 strokes or 3 strokes might help some of those INEC officials, including the ones where they sell people's PVCs, or those ones who are asking people to pay before they collect their PVCs. Well, INEC said they are investigating this matter.
I just hope that is not true, though.
No, it's true. Why will you say it's not true? This thing happened.
No, I said I hope it's not true, because
it's true, because it happened
dangerous.
just last weekend. It happened, you know, right before me. And I saw that happen. So when citizens, yes, there may be fake news some way, somehow, but you just see this system just has a way of making it difficult for the ordinary Nigerian. I don't know if we are cursed. I don't know what's the problem. That a simple exercise like PVC collection, you will see INEC officials and people taxing people 1,000, 2,000 naira to collect their PVCs, as if they are not Nigerians. So we just have a way. Sometimes we complain so much about government, but we are even the problem to ourselves. So what more can we do? I think that the point as to whether this election is important, it's not the debate, right? The big issue is how many human beings will show up on February 25th to cast their vote. That's the most important thing. And there are several things that we can do to get people out. But first things first, you know, this PVC issue, people need to collect their PVCs, because if you don't have your PVC, there's no way you are going to vote. The second, people out there, particularly young people, think their votes is not counted. And Tubaba makes the point. And, you know, we've done youth vote count concerts with Tubaba, and also we Vote Not Fight. And you hear people tell you, you know, their votes don't count. Votes were not counting before, but today, in today's Nigeria, votes are counting. In this country, just 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, people will be on the queue to cast their vote. For those who remember, right? Yeah. INEC will announce results when people are still voting. In this country, just 10 years ago, or about 10 to 15 years ago, let's not forget that in this country, that thing happened. In this country, 15 years ago, we had Michael Jackson and Mike Tyson on our voters register. In fact, it got to a point, a plate of rice was on our voters register. Wow. In this same country. But just look at where we are today. You know, we need to also tell young people that, see, we've been on this long journey. Things were not the way they used to be before. If your votes were not counting before, now the votes are counting. And if the votes do not count, it's because you stayed away from voting and you didn't show up on election day and stay there to watch your vote. Because the message now is, yes, come out. But if you come out, shine your eyes. Don't leave the polling unit. Look at this BVAS that was introduced. Yes, some people say BVAS needs data, it needs internet to function. It's a lie. The only time it needs internet to function is when? During the transmission of results. So this BVAS innovative technology, it helps with electronic accreditation. And so what BVAS does, it prevents multiple voting, it prevents voting by proxy. Yeah. And then this electronic transmission of results, you know what Nigerians also feel, particularly young people, is we need to follow the trends. Now, for every election, as soon as polling units results are announced, INEC officials are required to take pictures of that result and put it online. And you can create an account and you can access the polling unit level results. So it makes it difficult for people who want to rig elections at the ward level. So these are things Nigerians need, particularly young people need to know. We are on social media, but there is an online platform for publication of results. So from now, go and start creating accounts
on on the INEC website for results, so that once results are uploaded, you can see. This is the kind of vigilance to make our votes count.
I actually want to hear people's experiences in relation to these permanent voter cards. I'm hearing a lot of stories, but it will be interesting. If you cannot join on Twitter Spaces, if you cannot request to join, you can call this line and you can talk to me directly, and we'll be able to hear you here. And let's let the world know what exactly is going on. You can call on +234 92 920 0132 +234 92 920 013 +234 92 920 013. So if you call, we'll be able to hear your view. Let me go back to Baba. What can we do? Because we can't just these problems, like you always say, that you don't take away Rapadon Day somewhere. What can we do going forward, Tubaba? I'm not sure you're tired of campaigning for votes not filed, but the question is, there is another campaign that we need to take forward. Is that people need to now take their lives their destiny into their hands and take action by getting out on election day. What can we do?
Yeah, man. It's very straightforward. Participate. Even if it means joining a party, participate. Be engaged. I know it sounded like a joke when I said even Nyash is important. But to put it in a very, very plain and simple form, it's like everybody from the north to Hausa to Igbo to Idoma to any language, complexion, height, weight, whatever. Everybody is important. Everybody that is eligible to vote. That's what that statement simply means. And it just means that everybody should participate. There's no other way around it. We have found ourselves in a situation where the whole of our value system is twisted. Somebody just gets into government and starts building a mansion and it's being celebrated. We are sitting around and mediocrity is being celebrated. We're sitting around and I don't even know who the best science student in Nigeria is. I don't know who the best art student is. I don't know who. There's nothing. No proper stuff is being celebrated. It's only criminality, mediocrity, and tribalism, and religion, and just name it. Everything that's being celebrated in Nigeria today is stuff that does not contribute nothing to the system. And I think that's a huge problem. We really need to have a solid foundation.
Right. Tubaba, I beg. Make I allow someone on Twitter. There is Kinde on Twitter Spaces. Kinde, hi. Kinde is speaking on Twitter Spaces. Okay, I understand that Kinde is gone off. Adenike, hi, how are you? All right. What's your experience like? You see the question, you see the conversation. What do you have to contribute? Is Adenike still there?
Sure.
All right. Okay. Frank Donga, please go ahead. I'm not sure Adenike is there.
First of all, thank you, Council Todo, for that kind word about some of the materials I put out on sensitizing the public to participate in elections. I don't know if INEC will come for research like that. And, Chubaba said something very important. There's a lot we can do. However, personally, So very short two things I want to point out. I mean, even ask me what my experience in trying to get a photo card. In 2015, I was a field journalist. 2010, thereabouts, I was on the field as a journalist. I couldn't participate in election that day, but subsequent to elections, I did try to participate with the exception of 2010. And that was because I could not get my permanent voter card. I mean, my name never showed up on the day. I remember very clearly. I registered, I got a temporary one. I went to where I was supposed to pick up the permanent one. My name was never published. Not only myself, it was myself and a friend of mine. A friend of mine. But our news are never published. Up to now, he has not gotten it.
Your face is not published on this. Frank, what's happening? Your video is off. Okay, you're back now. Good. Yeah, so you have just published your face now.
I was saying in 2015, I was on the field as I was working, I couldn't vote, but other elections I did my best to participate. And the challenge I had in 2010, also why I couldn't participate, that was the only time I did vote in 2010, was because I couldn't find my name on that register. So I talked to a lot of youth in 2022 and 2023. I was speaking to somebody who's a mechanic, a young person who's a mechanic. I said, just about 2 days ago, do you have a voter card? He said, no. I said, why? He said he doesn't have time. I spoke to another young man, all of them under 25. Both of them didn't have. I mean, it was really disappointing. I spoke to another person who's in his early 40s. He didn't have. That one I was sure because I knew what he went through. Another person said I tried to transfer from those states to Lagos State. It's not working. Now, what I want to say is a lot of young people are actually trying to participate, but there are obvious bottlenecks. We are not doing something well enough. I'm not saying INEC is not trying. I'm not saying people are not giving their best, but we are certainly not doing something well enough. A lot of people complain on social media and one-on-one when I talk to them that they find they have trouble because they moved addresses. So getting the PVC to the new address, tied to the new address is a problem. I think that needs to be corrected. Sometimes people go to the INEC office 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and they are not successful. And let's be honest with ourselves. As young Nigerians that are youth, I'm saying youth based on classification of under 50, except you are getting a visa to Japan to immigrate from Nigeria. I don't think anybody will be
Frank, 50 in an elder statesman.
No, people will not do it, except there's free money coming from. I mean, these are young people who are restless, energetic, who are ambitious. If they're going to spend that much time to go and labor and toil for something that should be easily given to them, I mean, the process should be simplified and should be foolproof, such that number one, we don't get to see goats, fried rice, a plate of fried rice on the when people do that, they're discouraged because young people are very tech savvy. This thing is not rocket science. They know we have done BVN, we have done NIN. I don't think an average person will have 4 NIN. So what is happening with the PVC? It doesn't take you 3 months to get your BVN. There was a problem, a teething problem, initial challenges, they solved it. So why haven't we been able to solve this through INEC? People go there to almost sleep over. Now they've extended the collection to weekends. Still, people are complaining. You see videos on social media. There's chaos in some offices. Granted, some people get it, easily. Now, what can we do?
Frank Donga, just a moment. Frank Donga, just a moment. Let me bring in Adenike on Twitter Spaces. Adenike, you have your mic on now.
Yes, can you hear me, please?
Perfectly. We can hear you loud and clear. Good evening.
Okay, good. Thank you. That the youth will come out en masse. My only concern is they may not have enough to cope on the day. That's my concern.
What makes you think so?
Because they're not even doing PVC. People are having to go there by 5 a.m. Come on. 5 a.m. All because I want to get up. I believe people are determined this time around. But and then concerning some people that will say, they don't have time, they won't vote. I've had people tell me that as well, and I've convinced them. I've had quite a few people that I have convinced, and they said, okay, they will vote. So I more advocacy. We need to talk to people people, ones that have.
This sounded funny somehow. Someone said something to me, and he said something like, I mean, in the line of what Samson was saying earlier, that it depends on how you feel in the country, whether economy-wise, on other aspect of your life. It depends on how much of the impact that thing is having on you that probably will propel you to want to come out. But Adenike, if you can tell us, in your own view, do Nigerians feel the urge in this 2023 election more than the last election or the past election to come out?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, I believe so. I believe so. From the social media and offline, I believe so. People are complaining. People are groaning. Even the rich ones are groaning. I know a rich person that's telling me he cannot eat because of the cost of diesel. And they are determined to come out. My friend, because I convinced him, he too, he's groaning. He said he's going to come out and vote, that he will only vote presidential, that votes don't count. A lot of people think their votes will not count.
But I think the votes are counting now. I didn't care. If you hear what
count.
Yeah.
They are all saying that Nigerians, they will, I mean, the politicians, they will rig it. I said, no, this time around, they will not rig it. That the votes will count. Yeah. That Bidas is there. They keep saying, oh, you trust in the system. I said, yes, I trust in the system.
Wow. Frank Donga, Tubaba and Samson, do we all agree that votes are counting? I mean, for a lot of people who are watching or who are listening to us who are part of this conversation tonight. I mean.
Well, Frank was making a point, so maybe let him finish his...
Yeah, Frank, please. But by the way, thank you, Adenike. I appreciate your intervention.
Yes, yeah. So basically, just to wrap up, I think those challenges need to be fixed in all sincerity. And then, two, people also need to be dogged, because if it's your international passport that is being delayed, you will stick to that challenge. You will keep going to the immigration office until you get it because you want to travel out. I mean, so, and once you get your PVC, just get it once and for all. And what I feel we can do as a solution is, I really wish deep in my heart that anybody that has a platform, from influencers to musicians to actors to fashion icons in Nigeria to anybody, I mean, if you can just put that message out and talk to one person a day. Do you have your PVC? What are the challenges? Try, don't give up. If you can just encourage one another, because we are coming from a long distance of, apathy. People are just disconnected. The same old story. It's not going to count. It's not going to count. But how do you know it's not going to count if you don't count it? So by counting it, the only thing you can do is to try to vote. So if we can anybody that has a platform, let's at least attempt not only to campaign for your favorite, just say get that PVC. You can't even tell them to vote for who you like or who you want or you think is going to solve the problem if they don't have the PVC. So that's my wish. That's actually my New Year wish, that everybody that has a platform, any creative in Nigeria, irrespective of what your platform is, just to put the message out at least once a week. At this rate, I think we need to do it on a daily.
Malade Folashade is also on Twitter Spaces. Malade.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Shell.
Yeah, hi.
For this,
thank you.
Yeah, so I will just share my experience, and then I also want to can I say second what you just said about how if INEC is truly ready. I can remember when I was serving in Port Harcourt and I was a presiding officer, and at that particular time we were using the card reader. So there were times when the network on the card reader would actually go off, and then we would have to go manually to the papers, and then eventually when we get to the counting office, then you as an individual will not have to the responses you have on the card reader with what you have actually tallied on your paper. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
In as much as people are interested in, coming out to vote, most of the time, if the card reader does not read the number of persons you've actually registered, it's just more like a waste of time. But as a presiding officer, you need to submit something. So I don't know if that was many years ago. I think 7 years ago. I don't know if INEC has actually made a better standard of that. If there'll be no problem with card reader connections now. So I'm just trying to say this, that how ready is INEC really No matter how very, as youth, very agile we really want to vote and all that. Yeah, it's another thing. They say, oh, they have all the systems in place and all that. But who are the people to check and actually monitor and evaluate if these things are really working? That's my concern.
Thank you so much, Malade. Thank you so much, Malade. There is, one thing about this election also. We might be seeing more first-time voters, those who just clocked 18, or those who have been 18 several years ago, but they've never tried to vote or collect their PVC. We tried to reach out to a few of them. I'd like everyone to listen and watch what we found out when one of my colleagues went to the field.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Mike On Podcast. This podcast will return soon.
We're now counting days to the 2023 elections. The question is, are you ready to vote? Well, you can feel the anticipation in the air as the election day approaches. The Independent National Electoral Commission data reveals an unprecedented surge in voter registration for the general elections. The youth demography accounts for the highest number of newly registered voters. Amongst these,
understand some of even the basics. She has a personal experience, and it has come to the point where when you are going out on election day, you have to be knocking at people's houses and say, oh yeah, Samson, come out, let's go to come out, yeah. Stop watching movies, because I wish that they can shut down anything that is entertainment on that day. Let people go out. This is serious. I don't know, maybe I'm just being emotional about this election, but you heard the experience of Malade, you heard the experience of Folashade, and I think it's also several years of people think, oh, they should be the one in politics. Let us just live our lives here. People don't know how much of impact those people who are in politics are having on their own lives. Too, Baba.
Well, so many experiences, so many nasty ones over the years. I've been on this voter awareness campaign for quite some time now. My Vote Not Fight campaign that I've been on for since 2014. For me, we're just going to be repeating ourselves. We need to participate. Understand? People turn 18 every year. So fresh voter, old voter, participate. Get involved from the grassroots. And see, one of the major problems is this. Everybody just concentrates on one place. Well, you have your state house of reps, you have your councillors, you have your local government chairman, you have people that, if everybody put pressure on everybody from top to bottom, according to, if everybody put pressure on everybody top to bottom, you will see a whole lot of things. And I think we need to have a serious change of values, of mindset. No dignity, no honor, no. It's so shameful. You understand what I'm saying? There's nowhere in this world that you don't find corruption. There's nowhere in this world. It's not 100%. Even Dubai, there's still a little bit of crime here and there. It happens. But we just have to just remove our head from. We need to start. It's frustrating, and
I can imagine how you feel too, Baba.
We feel your pain.
Yeah.
We are also in pain too.
It's more painful for someone like Tubaba, who are some of pioneers in their own genre of music in the country, and you feel that you have carried the burden over the years, and you think that things should have moved faster than it is right now.
You see, so let's we talk about what else do we need to do, and I think Frank makes that point. See, the rule in life is nothing good comes easy, and I think we need to tell Nigerians, and particularly young people, nothing good comes easy. no country in the world that we aspire to be like. They didn't just wake up one day and then boom, America is where it is, China is where it is. No. It takes a lot. Even to Baba, if we ask him now, all those his hits, let's ask him, like the song Africa Queen.
Yeah.
Let him tell us the amount of work he put into before that song, came out, before he released it, before it became a global anthem. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of sacrifice. And you have to sacrifice it. Like Frank said, it takes doggedness. This system, the way it is structured, is structured to not function. So limit your expectations, right? Limit your expectations. And when you limit your expectations, what you now do is to show up. Show up and get things to work. One thing, I think it was a few weeks ago, and I think I saw this on social media, where I think was it Dirty December, one of these concerts, this Burna Boy concert, where Burna Boy showed up. I think he showed up late, even though he explained, with the reasons why. But I saw people tweeting that they were there from 9 p.m. till about 2 or 3 a.m. before Burna Boy showed up. If people can wait for these stars of ours, who just give them entertainment and joy, what about waiting at the polling unit, showing up to vote for people who determine the air that you breathe, the clothes that you wear, the food that you eat, as in they determine everything. Politics determines everything. And this ASU strike that students were that just ended, think about it. It was who makes the decision at the end of the day?
The politicians.
They are politicians. And so how these politicians come to power is important. So don't just sit back and say, oh no, if you look through this recent history, you would see places where citizens rose and they spoke and they participated and government
affected their own wish.
Changes. So let's do that through the ballot.
Something. Let's listen to this report I was trying to play earlier, and we'll try to wrap up on the conversation after that.
We are now counting days to the 2023 general elections. The question is, are you ready to vote? Well, you can feel the anticipation in the air as the day approaches. The Independent Electoral Commission data reveals an unprecedented surge in voter registration for the general elections. The youth demography accounts for the highest number of newly registered voters. Amongst these will be perhaps one of the most anxious groups, the first-time voters. Let's check out with them why they got their PVC and why they will want to vote in 2023.
As we are all aware of the situation of the country right now, the bad economy, insecurity and the rest. Okay, I would like to vote in the right person, someone that is competent, someone that has the interest of the people at heart.
For me, basically, my choice for wanting to vote this time is I want to exercise my voting right.
I got my PVC firstly to exercise my franchise. I'm a state of Nigeria, an adult citizen, and I'm qualified to vote. So that's one of the first reasons I got my PVC. And secondly, for us to move from this status quo. Okay, we have been, one of the major problems Nigeria has had is leadership. Not natural resources, but bad leadership.
With the EndSARS movement and the protest.
Well, basically you can hear them there about the need to, it seems, look, I am not in doubt the fact that most Nigerians know the problems. And they know the solution to the problems.
Is the doing.
Now, Frank Donga, let's wrap up quickly. The doing is the important thing. And I remember that there was a time during the COVID period, if you don't have your COVID whatever in some federal government institution, they won't allow you into the building.
Yeah, or face mask.
Yeah, I think that some religious institutions should even do that. If you don't have your PVC, don't come to church. If you are above 18, I mean, it's gotten to that level that people need to realize the essence. So just in a 1 minute each to my guests, so that we can wrap up. Frank Donga, your final word. Frank, it seems you have muted yourself. Try to unmute.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Your PVC to talking to us was just there. You lost it, but now you have it back.
Sorry, but just in 10 seconds, I think the solution is just we talk about it. Online, there's enough drive and publicity. We're talking about get your PVC already, and I think the buzz is very healthy online, but we need to convert that to offline. Now, people, every day when you meet somebody, ask them, the same way people were concerned during Ebola and during COVID-19. They are, Oga, you just sneeze, you cough, you don't wash your hands. Just that, looking out for each other, that attitude should be carried forward. Do you have a PVC? Not only vote for me or vote for my candidate, do you have a PVC? People should, and then people have challenges, encourage one another, because at this point, that's the only way forward. I think almost 70% of the population of Nigeria, who are youths, we are talking about doing the youth matter, we've concluded youth matter a lot. But because you have the key doesn't mean the door will open. You have to take action. So the action is now every day in our circle of influence. Talk to somebody every day. Use your platforms, social media, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, status. Get your PVC. Talk to your family, talk to your friends. And make plans to come out on that day.
Thank you so much. Tubaba, your final word. What will be your final thoughts to our viewers tonight?
Yeah, for me, I think, Nigerians should stop being naive. Nigerians should understand that for this country to become what it has the potential to be, we need to, from inside the roots, So I think we should start participating, start paying attention, know your constituency, know the people that are representing you, and let's just look, we just behave ourselves. Understand?
Now, so Samson, your final thought.
Well, Tubaba says it be like say they want to tell us another story again, they actually are telling us another story this time, and now we have to stop them from telling us these stories. We need to shine our eyes so we don't make the kind of mistakes we made before that landed us here. And the only way to do that, please collect your PVC. And Frank since Frank is now a demigod and he flogs people, we hope he will flog INEC to produce people's PVCs, and we've received the commitment from him. So when he flogs them, we expect your PVCs will be there. But I think on a more serious note, let's get ready and show up. Only people who show up determine the outcome of elections. Let's stop this trend where the minority of us determine for the majority of us. It is unacceptable, and we shouldn't in any way, as a generation, particularly young people, adopt this approach.
Thank you so much.
All right. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, guys. Tubaba, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for lending your voice to this campaign.
I hope Tubaba and Frank, they are voting.
I hope so too. Tubaba, Frank, you have your PVC.
Of course.
Okay.
I get my PVC.
Thank you so much, Tubaba. Thank you so much, Frank Donga. Very excellent views and thoughts tonight. Something always a pleasure having you talk about this.
Pleasure is mine.
Well, the mic is on. You have your voice, and we are here to hear it and let the world know what your thoughts and your views are. And that is why this is the platform for the young people in Nigeria. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Mike On Podcast with Shayon Okimbaloi. Mike On Podcast for the independent mind.
good start.